I want us to delve into Jeremiah's lament. Jeremiah was a Hebrew, a young Jewish boy chosen by God to be his prophet. From his mother's womb, he was sanctified and set apart for God's purpose. God instructed Jeremiah that his mission was to speak to the nations, commanding him, "Whatever I tell you, you must say, and whatever I direct you to do, you must carry out." Jeremiah faithfully adhered to this divine assignment. His calling was to the southern kingdom, Judah, because by this time the nation of Israel had already been divided. So, Jeremiah was fulfilling the prophetic mission that God had entrusted to him. However, the people of God refused to heed his message. They preferred to live as they wished, indulging in their desires and assuming, "God will forgive me later." Jeremiah confronted them, warning that God would judge them because, as a sanctified people, they were living in disobedience, behaving like the world. This message wasn't well received, and as a result, Jeremiah faced persecution. He was beaten, thrown into dungeons, shackled, and put in stocks. Jeremiah suffered greatly for obeying God's call. It's in this context that he writes his lament in Jeremiah 12. Truth be told, many of us have had similar feelings in our walk with the Lord. You may have heard my story or experienced times when you felt like you were doing what God asked of you, yet it seemed like God was silent. You're being obedient, walking the path He set before you, yet when trouble strikes, God appears absent. Jeremiah asked a profound question. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why are those who betray others living happily? In other words, Jeremiah wondered why those who are corrupt seem to live so comfortably. Why do the wicked appear blessed while we, who strive to follow God, struggle? They enjoy financial security while we face hardship. They get the job promotions, and their lives seem effortless while we're left toiling. On Sunday mornings, they're out washing their fancy cars, while I'm praying for a ride to make it to church. Jeremiah was frustrated, and he expressed this frustration to God. In verse 1, he says, "You planted them, and they've taken root. They grow and bear fruit. They are thriving because of you, God." Jeremiah acknowledged that God's grace allowed both the righteous and the wicked to flourish. He said, "You could stop their blessings any time, yet you let them continue." He pointed out that these people speak of God, but their hearts are far from Him. They have the right religious language but not the corresponding actions. Meanwhile, Jeremiah, striving to live right and honor God, saw no immediate reward. Why, he wondered, was he struggling while they were thriving? Then, Jeremiah made an unusual request. "Pull them out like sheep for the slaughter, prepare them for the day of judgment." He even lamented that the land itself was suffering because of the sins of the wicked. God then responds to Jeremiah in a surprising way. He says, "If you have raced with the footmen and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses?" Wait, what? Jeremiah never asked to contend with horses. He was fine with the foot soldiers where it seemed like an even playing field. He wasn't asking to face an entirely different level of challenge. But God knew exactly what He was doing. Back then, when nations went to war, they would send foot soldiers first. Foot soldiers were not the strongest or the tallest. They were just numerous. Their role was to wear out the opponent. God was using this analogy to tell Jeremiah that the challenges he faced were merely foot soldier level issues. They were preparatory. The trials we face, like financial hardships or misunderstandings, are often these foot soldier issues. Yet God called Jeremiah to something greater. He was saying, "Don't let these lesser problems rob you of the calling I've placed on your life. You are destined for more, and I've empowered you to contend not just with men but with horses." The foot soldiers in our lives, whether it's being overlooked at work, facing financial strain, or even relationship issues, are meant to prepare us for greater battles. The devil tries to wear us down, hoping we'll abandon our calling. But those attacks are evidence that we're headed in the right direction. The enemy tries to discourage and distract us with minor battles, but we must stay focused on the destiny God has for us. God's reminder to Jeremiah, and to us, is that these foot soldier struggles are not the end. They reveal that something bigger, something like the horses, is coming. Horses, which are stronger, faster, and endure greater distances, represent greater challenges. But God isn't calling us to face these challenges alone. He provides us with His strength and His power. On our own, we are no match for the horses. But with God, we can face any battle. He gives us what we lack so that we can fulfill His calling. You see, God's intention is for us to rely on His power, not on our own abilities. He doesn't want us to think that our success is because of our own strength or wisdom. That's why He allows us to face situations where we're in over our heads, so that we learn to depend on Him. It's not about our qualifications or credentials. It's about God's power working through us. Even when we feel unprepared or inadequate, God qualifies us for His purpose. And when we succeed, we can only give glory to Him.